You brush your teeth, you make your coffee, you sit on the edge of the bed. Yesterday, you thought you were finally getting your life together. But this morning, for no reason you can put into words, getting dressed feels completely impossible. The heavy, familiar weight is just back. As you sit there, your brain hands you the most logical conclusion it can find. I'm right back where I started. I failed. It's an incredibly persuasive thought. It feels like a cold status report on a broken system, except the timing is completely backward. This crash doesn't hit when you're screwing up. It waits until the exact morning after you finally start doing things right. The real problem is that the pain of growing and the pain of falling apart feel identical. Your mind cannot tell the difference between the strain of stretching your limits and the exhaustion of defeat. I've noticed there are 6 experiences that almost every one of us eventually mistakes for failure, when they're often just what moving forward actually feels like. 1. The illusion of being incompetent. Let's look at what happens the second you try to expand your world. You decide to learn a new skill, pick up a creative project, or step into a new role. For the first 3 days, you feel like an absolute genius, because everything is driven by pure novelty. By day 10, the excitement clears, you fumble a basic step, and you realize you are entirely terrible at this. Almost everyone has had that moment where they watch someone else make it look effortless, and they quietly wonder, why does this seem so easy for them and so impossible for me? The automatic reaction is a wave of personal shame. I'm just not cut out for this. But that frustration isn't proof that you lack talent. Before you started, your confidence was artificially high because you didn't even know enough to see what a bad job looked like. The moment you begin learning, your standards sprint ahead while your ability is still catching up. Your taste is suddenly sharp enough to see every flaw, but your practical hands haven't built the wiring to fix them yet. A child confidently draws a terrible picture because they don't know any better. The day you start noticing how bad you are is usually the day you stop being a beginner. 2. The clean cut of comparison. Picture sitting at a dinner table with old friends, or spending 10 minutes looking at a screen, while your mind automatically tallies up the score. Someone just bought a place. Someone else got the title, got the funding, or hit a massive milestone. You glance down at your phone, think about your current bank balance, look at your quiet weekends, and a distinct weight settles into your chest. You conclude that you're late, and that everyone else got a master manual for life that you somehow missed. What's strange is that comparison almost never happens when you're actively struggling or in the middle of a crisis. It shows up on ordinary, unremarkable evenings while you're doing nothing special, folding laundry or making tea. When you look at someone else's milestones from the outside, your brain performs a deeply unfair calculation. You are running a race where you look at someone sprinting on clear asphalt, while you are currently trying to clear a swamp, wondering why your shoes are wet. Human lives happen on entirely different terrains. Some paths are flat and straightforward, meaning the milestones happen early. Others require clearing dense brush and building a foundation from scratch. The real breakthrough comes much later, but it goes infinitely deeper. Being in a completely different season of life than the people around you isn't proof of a delay. It's just evidence that you are heading somewhere else. 3. The thief's shadow. But let's say you actually clear the brush and secure the exact win you worked so hard for. You land the better role. Your work gets real praise. Or someone genuinely validates something you built. Instead of breathing a sigh of relief, the internal script immediately flips. They don't know the real me. If they saw how chaotic yesterday was, they'd realize I'm completely winging it. You spend the entire day waiting for a tap on the shoulder, terrified that you've somehow tricked everyone around you into thinking you're capable. This happens because of a fundamental flaw in how we see things. When you look at anyone else, you only see their final choices and their calm presentation. You are constantly comparing your chaotic, behind-the-scenes footage to everyone else's polished highlight reel. The people who are genuinely unqualified rarely worry about this because they don't know enough to see their own gaps. Being hyper-aware of your limitations isn't proof that you are a fraud. It is a direct symptom of growing competence. If you feel like an imposter, it's usually because you're the only person in the room who knows how much guessing went into your success. 4. The empty middle. When that initial anxiety of proving yourself finally runs out of gas, it often leaves behind a completely different kind of coldness, a total sense of detachment. This is the phase where you open Netflix and nothing sounds interesting. You look at your old goals and feel absolutely nothing. Friendships start to drift apart, not because of some massive fight, but because you simply don't inhabit the same space anymore. You find yourself standing in the middle of your room, looking at the quiet, empty corners of your life, wondering what happened and assuming you've lost your way. But real growth means regularly outgrowing who you used to be. We assume losing our way is dangerous, but sometimes losing yourself is the only way the next version of you has room to exist. That empty space feels directionless, heavy, and completely stagnant. But a vacuum isn't a permanent state. It's a clearing. The old version of you almost always packs up and leaves, before the new version has even arrived. 5. Feeling like you're going backwards. And inside that clearing, you might finally have a good week. You eat better, get decent sleep, and feel a genuine sense of momentum. Then, out of nowhere, a familiar wave of panic catches you off guard. Or you snap at someone exactly the way you used to. Or you fall straight back into an old, toxic habit. Immediately, the internal script cuts in. None of it was real. The good days were just a fluke. I am right back where I started. The worst part isn't the bad day itself. It's how quickly it convinces you that the good days never counted. This conclusion is incredibly persuasive because we naturally expect progress to look like a straight line. We imagine healing like climbing a staircase, always moving up, leaving the old floors behind forever. But almost nothing in nature grows that way. Imagine hiking up a mountain trail full of switchbacks. As you climb, the path will periodically loop around, forcing you to walk back toward the exact direction you just came from. For a few hundred yards, it feels like absolute regression. But you aren't going backwards. You are gaining elevation with every single step. One difficult day is weak evidence of a permanent reversal. Returning to an old emotion is not the same as returning to your old self. You can make the exact same mistake, but handle the aftermath with a maturity you didn't possess a year ago. Growth isn't measured by whether the struggle disappears. It's measured by how differently you move through it. You don't always know you've changed until life asks you the same difficult question twice. 6. The slow burn of invisibility. The deepest frustration of this entire process is that while you are trying to answer those questions differently, it feels like absolutely nothing is changing. You work on your mental health, you practice a better routine, or you try to heal from something painful that happened to you. You check your progress every single morning, looking closely for any sign of a major breakthrough. And yet, your life looks identical to the day before. You draw the most logical conclusion available. The effort is totally wasted, and you are permanently stuck. We spiral over this because we are wired to notice sudden, violent explosions, not slow, gradual shifts. We notice the storm, but we are completely blind to the quiet stillness of actual recovery. The deepest transformations in your life happen completely in silence, far beneath the surface. Habits, recovery, emotional maturity, and real confidence don't grow in sudden dramatic leaps. They build in fractions of a millimeter every single day, making them completely invisible to the person standing directly over them. You look at the dark, quiet dirt and conclude that nothing is happening, because the roots always have to grow long before the leaves ever can. So when you find yourself back on the edge of the bed, staring at your coffee, and wondering why getting dressed feels like an uphill battle, look at the scene differently. Your mind isn't broken, it's just doing the heavy, invisible work of shifting its weight. It takes the friction of learning and calls it stupidity. It takes the quiet of a transition and calls it isolation. It takes the sheer exhaustion of trying and calls it weakness. Every single one of these states feels like proof that you are losing. But real progress doesn't sound like a continuous victory lap. More often than not, it sounds like silence, frustration, and the heavy, uncomfortable friction of a mind trying to build a completely new way of surviving. The most brutal part of changing your life isn't that the work is hard. It's that while you are actively going through it, it looks exactly like defeat. You are standing directly above the soil, judging the stillness, completely blind to the roots anchoring themselves underneath. If you finally found the words for how you feel today, welcome. New reflections are shared every Sunday. Feel free to stay a while.